yes. Now, before you lot say anything, I know some of you are thinking, Spoon, what is this? If this fruit was hanging any lower, it'd be on the ground rotten, used to feed zombies. True, I concur, which coincidentally also describes the mental capacity of everything lacking a Y chromosome that features on this podcast. However, with that being said, it provides us with entertainment, and one of my subs requested that I do another one of those. Besides, it's me. The sheer lack of intellectual depth from the former means I have to flex my brain cells and, impart the wisdom that you will be stripped of if you try and listen to some of these things.
It's okay.
I don't think that egalitarianism is true. I don't think that equality is real.
Absolutely based, and I've said as much as well. Equality is hell. Nothing in nature is equal. So to base a society on equality is to create a society based on the principle of force, and considering the anti-nature sentiments of such a hellish concept, to what end will you go to enforce that? That's terrifying. Let's not go down that road.
I don't think any of those things are true. I don't think any
Do you
of them
think
are true.
equality should be real?
No.
Should be real? No, for the reasons I just mentioned. Let's be real. I would say down near everyone who advocates for equality have never thought about the implication of the tyranny they would be unleashing if you took that power to its logical conclusion. Because if you did, you would never advocate for it.
Who do you think is...
I don't even think it's possible. You want me to tell you how? Farah knows. Farah knows what I'm about to say, but I can tell you how. I can tell you how men and women can't be equal. You want me to tell you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If you're talking about equality, I'm going to go ahead and guess something to do with force.
If you are to look at force...
Damn, I'm good.
In society, who would you say has the monopoly on force, men or women?
Men on brute men.
The monopoly. I'm just talking about the monopoly.
They're the stronger
I
ones.
feel like things are set up for men, but...
Can you indicate a time in history, ever, in the history of all of mankind, where men didn't have the monopoly on force?
You know what's terrifying to me about these kind of clips? Just the sheer stupidity of these... Not even so much the stupidity, maybe just ignorance. There's a reason why the New York Post wrote about this, because it's alarming how incredibly void these people are of, well, frankly, any connection to reality around them. That's what's most bizarre to me personally, is that you can debunk these plebs just by pointing to reality and go, yeah, explain that. And then listen to them spew what they've been fed. Jere man, hierdie mense is kakdom. Makes you question just how smart humans actually are. Because if they swallow this kind of gunk that any sane person can debunk with functioning eyes, I mean, to call them empty-headed would be an understatement. It's why it's so easy to dupe these people with rhetoric. Their capacity to reason is basically non-existent. This is one area where I will disagree heavily with Michael Malison, who said it's easier to train a smart person than it is a dumb one. Yeah, that might be true, Michael, but you're not training these people, you're indoctrinating them. And the fact that these ideas are so piss poor and so absurdly false, just a cursory glance at society around you could debunk them? That tells me these ones are blunt as hell. And not the spoon kind either.
On force as in like physical force though, correct?
Like
always. They're always
force.
stronger than
Yeah.
us.
Oh, then yeah.
That's the biology.
They have the monopoly on physical force. So the question when you come down to rights is who can enforce rights. Women can't enforce their own rights. Men have to enforce women's rights. So there can never be real equality. There can never be real
Literally,
egalitarianism.
what the
Men
fuck?
are...
The fact that that simple statement caused their brain to blurt that out tells me this one is well under 3 digits. And obviously I don't mean the scale.
I just want to say men are a little bit more that is like so violent in nature.
What the
Even what you just said, like...
Yeah, literally everything that involves law requires an enforcement mechanism and repercussions for disobedience. Welcome to reality. Clearly you never grew up with a father.
Sorry.
Every society, of course, you need force, but the fact that you feel like because you're stronger than someone or you can overpower them, you're more entitled.
It has nothing to do with entitlement. We're going by capability here. The only reason you enjoy any sense of liberation of any capacity is because men aren't manhandling you like a rag doll. We're physically superior to you. If we went to war with you, you would have no shot in hell of survival.
No,
To some
no,
sort of
hang on,
thing.
listen so that you get it real quick. Hang on, just hear me out.
Yeah.
My God, it's like watching someone teach children, isn't it?
Inside of your society,
Okay.
you have rights, right? Those rights need to be enforced, right? So somebody doesn't violate them,
Again, children.
right? Who's the enforcement
But
arm?
it's not
Women's
usually
rights were
physically.
mostly
It
created,
is
though,
usually physically.
in response
What
to
do you do
men.
with criminals?
I mean, you put them in jail, but
And
like...
who does that?
There's never been a female officer ever.
I'm not saying there hasn't been, but who does that? Who puts them in jail? And then who guards them while they're in jail?
I mean,
Just say men Look, here's the deal. No one is going to look at you and think Einstein. Let's be real. The fact that you haven't already thought this far ahead, as it is confirming what everyone else was already strongly suspecting. I mean, not conceding at this point makes you look like you need a helmet.
I don't want to say that because I know women security guards that are fucking rappers in jail.
You're speaking always to the exception. You always look to the outlier. It's not that there can't be some women who are on par with some men. It's that as a monolith, men are the grantors of force, the grantors of rights, and here's how. Whenever you need criminals dealt with in society, it's men who are going to be dealing with the criminals. They're going to be putting them in the jails. They're going to be enforcing your laws. They're going to be protecting you while you sleep through the military and through the force
disagree.
there.
But have we ever given women the opportunity?
Yes.
Oh, Lord have mercy on my soul. Men are always going to be strong. Do you see why I don't want them to vote? How do we have people in our society who are this dim? You know, I'm convinced at this point, politics is something less than 10% of the population is actually mentally fit to engage in. The vast majority of the people are simply too stupid to understand that realm. Politics is a high IQ pursuit, and the plebs must be exiled from ever exercising their opinion on it because, frankly, they're not worth being listened to.
Yes,
to be in
here's
that
the amazing
place.
part. The amazing part is right now they have all that opportunity and they still can't do it. Meaning,
I don't think they do.
Men inside, yes, they do. Where do women have less opportunity to become the enforcement arm than men in society right now? Tell me.
You just said they have a monopoly on force.
Yes, and the monopoly is based on biology, not a lack of... Patience is a virtue, except when it's killing brain cells.
3233. 33. 2233, we got it.
I don't
Well,
disagree.
then
I think
I'm
men are
asking-
protectors, and they like. If I have a husband, he's probably bigger than me. If someone comes to try to fight me, I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, hold on, I got this." I'm gonna expect my man to handle it.
But that's not my question.
So,
My question is, can women be police officers?
Yes.
Can they be in the
Yes.
military?
Yes.
Okay, can they be prison guards?
Yes,
Yeah.
but can
Okay,
they
so
do
do they
all the
ever
same
have
things?
less opportunity
Yes.
to be in the enforcement arm?
Because there's people
Yes.
in the that employ them that hold up
That's
that
why
patriarchy.
it's called a police
No,
man.
what happens instead is this.
Because
is
they were
that
only men in the
inside of the
beginning.
military and inside the police force and inside all these different enforcement arms, when you include women, you lower the standard. You lower the standard in order to bring women in. Meaning the female standards in the military...
Physically?
Yes, because it's a job based on physical prowess. What the hell else do you think the standard involves around bacon biscuits?
Yes, physically. So
but
the
you
standard...
need nurses in the military. You need women.
You don't need
They're not
them,
helping us, Yamani.
but they are there.
You don't need a nurse in the. You don't need.
You don't need
doctors
female
in the military.
nurses. You could have male nurses.
I'm just going on like more of the traditional values of like.
Yeah, what I'm
almost
just
like-
talking about an equalization of force. Men have an overwhelming amount of power and force.
I'll say it again, they literally do not understand the concept of enforcement. Frankly, I don't think they understand the concept of monopoly either.
And so, women can't actually enforce their rights against men, whereas men can change the conditions almost any time they want based on their will because they have the monopoly of force.
You don't think that's because that's how it's been set up in time and history for them?
If this gimp burps one more tired cliche about oppression, I swear I'm going to smack the metal of the cage I'm currently recording in. Do you realize the fact that you're capable of having this conversation without being battered to pieces is because of men? Yes? Or does the implication of his statement slip by you? By the way, I've tried so hard not to make any jokes about the obvious. The burden is very heavy.
If it wasn't for men,
Skiz
though,
Tech, thanks for the gifted 100 subs.
No, it's not. The reason that it's that way is because men are overwhelmingly physically stronger than women.
who were women's rights protecting us from, though? I'm like a general. Were they protecting women from other women, or women from, as you said, the people who hold the monopoly on brute force?
Well, they're not really protecting anybody from anything because they're an illusion. It's
But
illusory.
if you were to answer my question,
He just did, but this is way over your head. And these ones are so coddled, they have absolutely no concept of the world around them. At all. There is nothing going on upstairs. Clueless.
the reason that women felt so strongly,
They didn't feel strongly. The suffragettes were a small portion. Most most women did not want the right. When I can't even get into this, but most women did not want most of these rights, okay? I can't get into it for TOS reasons, but most of them didn't even want them.
I'm not disagreeing.
What ended up happening instead was that it was a small collective of very weak men who really pushed through with a lot of money to push feminists and these feminist ideals through, but most women didn't want anything to do with it because, here, let me, if you don't mind, if you'll humor me, let me read these anti-arguments. This is from a original anti-suffrage flyer.
Why were the weak men
not even a feminist.
supporting feminism?
Special privileges.
Why did weak men support feminism? That conversation is so far above your intellectual pay grade, it's not even funny. The fact that you can't look around at the kind of limp-wristed males who call themselves feminists and put two and two together speaks volumes about your thinking skills. Or rather lack thereof.
Married women are not required to contribute to support of the family. Women may work, earn money, and spend it as she pleases, may own real and personal property and dispose of it or sell it without her husband's knowledge or consent. The list goes on and on and on. Wife may have millions and cut her husband off without a cent. These do not sound like women were treated poorly or that they weren't treated as equals. They were treated as different because they are different.
Agreed.
And so what happened instead was that men had the overwhelming burden of responsibility, and they were forced by society, the enforcement arm, which is other men, to do their duty. And women were not forced to do that. And when we see the societal role being reversed, where women are forced instead to take on roles that require duty, they don't want it. They completely reject it. Like she said, it's basically just all me, me, me. And that's why the roles are so messed up. That's why everything is so reversed. That's why everything is the opposite of what it's supposed to be.
100%, he's absolutely right. And you can see this with society right now. They can't understand the statement, with great power comes great responsibility. And frankly, it's because women have been suckered into thinking that men have been oppressing them for all of human history, instead of being grateful they're free to do the dumb things they do now. It comes down to how we're conditioned to wield power. Men don't have a fallback. The burden is all on you because you're a male. You are superior. With the XXs, the fallback is a man. So when you tell them, no, you're equal now, you live with the consequences of your own actions, you're on your own, they're dumbstruck by this idea because it's completely antithetical to their nature. They're not wired to be like us because, as Andrew said there, we're not the same, we're different. I do like what he said at the end there though, about me, all of that. Feminism has duped these gullible young'uns into thinking they can behave however they want with absolutely no consequences whatsoever, and if anyone criticizes them, it's never their fault. Level of entitlement is insane. I find it fascinating because whilst they are incredibly selfish beings, their thought process is wired to be collectivist, or as we see in the modern day, be seen to care, even though it shows you look utterly delusional and you have no idea what you're talking about or what you're actually advocating for. It's not a serious political position, it's nothing more than a social brand. Leftism is inherently a feminine concept. It's why when you give women an inch in any arena, they destroy it. It's why traditionally only males held the reins of power, because the whamins are hardwired to do this, and it's nothing more than a dangerously stupid pipe dream. Whereas men are the exact opposite to this. We are hardwired to be individualistic, to build oneself up, to make the smallest collective unit possible, and around this, build a legacy. The family. And this unit is the building blocks of any society and hence responsible for the civilization's advancement and maintenance. We collect resources for this particular purpose. Women do not, and this is what they fail to grasp. This is why I said yesterday the concept of independence is a total joke. It's absurdist rhetoric. As a matter of fact, I'll even go one further. Women don't have any power. They never have and they never will. Why? Because they're too weak to exercise any power. It's always done through something else. This is why Andrew said any force and enforcement of any kind of law and order is done through men. This is also why the Atlas Stone was dumbstruck about why weaker men would support feminism. It's because the state apparatus is made of men who want power, and your biological inclination has been hijacked under the guise of giving you the feeling of power, and so how are you surprised the men who occupy the reins of power would support your decision to give it more power? What a shock. I can't understand why they would support you. And by the way, that is the only reason they support you. If polls came out tomorrow that said, yeah, all women are now only voting Republican, you would see the New York Times and the Washington Post crank out articles supporting to repeal the 19th Amendment within the hour. I would bet my life on that. Really, you're just surrendering what little power you have into the hands of a more appropriate vessel. Hell, even your political perspectives are built around this axiom. Ladies, everything around you is built and maintained by men. Every technological innovation you enjoy that affords you the luxury of generating capital with all kinds of reckless degeneracy was built by men. Ultimately, any courtship with you is a quest to earn your trust and get you to relinquish your power, either to a husband or an agent of the state. Cheers for watching, and once again, I apologize for nothing.